What's up everybody, John Stiles here with Bridge Realty. Thanks so much for checking out this video. Last week I told you that I got my start into real estate investing by house hacking. Now if this is the first time that you've heard that term, be sure to check out the previous video that I made that explains what house hacking is. I'll go ahead and put a link to that video in the notes below. Now, like anything in life, there are pros and cons to house hacking, and so I wanted to go over some of those with you now. And since I'm a pretty positive guy, I figured I'd start with the negatives and get those out of the way. One of the biggest negatives to house hacking is that you have to share. Now your situation is going to vary depending on which type of house hacking you go with. For example, if you're house hacking a single family house, you're probably going to have to share the kitchen, the bathroom, or maybe the basement. If you're going with the duplex, triplex, fourplex option, you're probably still going to have to share a yard, a driveway, maybe the laundry room, and in most cases, you're going to be sharing some common walls or a floor-ceiling separation. Of course, modern construction has done a lot with dampening noise transfer between units. But if you are purchasing and house hacking an older building, then you're definitely going to have some noise transfer and have some times where you're hearing your neighbors. Depending on the size of your personal bubble, this may affect you more than other people. Personally, while I definitely enjoy my privacy, I don't think this noise transfer has bothered me as much. You see, I grew up as the middle child of 5 kids, and I grew up in a household where my mother was teaching music lessons inside the home. So I was always around other people and noises, and I also like getting together with people, and whenever we're planning an outing or an event, I'm always thinking to myself, who else could I invite so that we could enjoy this more together? Speaking of inviting people, have you heard of the North Star Real Estate Conference? It's an annual event that I helped to co-found, and we bring together high caliber real estate investors who share their tips and strategies so that we can all learn together. And it also incorporates a huge emphasis on networking, so you can connect with other like-minded investors and help each other grow. The dates of the next conference are going to be released soon, and in the meantime, we are hosting monthly online workshops where we dive deep into a specific topic of real estate investing, and it's in an interactive format so that you can really learn and engage with the topic. So I'll go ahead and put a link below for that as well. Now getting back to house hacking and sharing, I think it's important to acknowledge that if your choice is between renting an apartment or living in a house where you're house hacking, you're going to have that same sharing component either way. And I'd rather be building my equity in my property versus paying somebody else's mortgage. Additionally, I'm trying to teach my kids how to share, so what better way than to just live it out right in front of them? Now, a second negative of house hacking is that you might not be able to find a suitable house that fits your family needs and your desired location. If you have a spouse and kids and you need to be in a specific school district or you want to be really close to your job, then that's going to limit the options that you have in front of you. Also, if your goal is to do this with a 2 to 4 unit property, then you're going to find a lot more of those in the city versus out in the suburbs or rural areas. So your personal preferences are going to be a major consideration. For me and my family, we started house hacking when my wife and I had 2 kids. We moved into a building that had 3-bedroom units. Previously it was 2-bedroom, and then they converted the front porch into a 3rd bedroom. Of course, my wife and I had a bedroom, and our kids could either be spread out, one in each bedroom, or maybe they were together, and then we had an extra office. So as our family has grown, we've now moved into a triplex that has much bigger units. There's still 3-bedroom units, but it's got 1.5 baths instead of just the 1. And so we have 4 kids now, so we've put 2 girls in 1 bedroom and 2 boys in the other bedroom. I actually feel pretty blessed because the triplex that we're in was built in 2006, which means that the floor plan was a lot more intentional, as opposed to sometimes you get a single family house that was converted to a multifamily. It's all kind of chopped up. So in my property, each unit has a separate HVAC system, each unit has a separate laundry facility, and so it really works out well for us. It almost feels like we're living in a condo building. Now, as our kids are growing older, we definitely feel the constraints of our limited space but it kind of helps to, make us think twice about what we bring into our house. So I would agree that living in a house hack or a multifamily has its limitations, and it's going to be easier if you're a single person or maybe you have a small family compared to a larger family. Regardless, I think it's really important to keep perspective of what an adequate living situation is. If you take a look at how families and people live in other cultures or other countries, I think you'll find that the space we think we need is really a personal preference. Regarding location, we've actually lived in South Minneapolis for the last several years, actually since 2006, since we got married. And then when we bought our first house hack to live in 2011, it wasn't a big change either in location or property type. And so we actually kind of like living in Minneapolis. We've developed lots of friendships here. This is where our church is. And then from a professional perspective, as a real estate agent, it's really helpful to be centrally located because I have investor buyers that are looking for properties in all parts of the Twin Cities. The last thing I want to mention about not having the ideal living situation is that you don't have to live there forever. In a previous video, I mentioned that when doing house hacking, you're getting owner-occupied financing, which requires you to live in the property. But that requirement actually is only for 1 year. So, and after that year, you can move, but you're still going to keep that same financing unless you can get better terms at that time. But, you still have the same benefits that you started with when house hacking. So if you really feel like house hacking is going to be an inconvenience to you, then think about it as a 1-year adventure. Tell yourself that it's a game. It's a 1-year commitment, and the prize of that game is that you're one huge step closer to financial independence. Now, a third negative about house hacking is that your tenants are going to know who you are and have easy access to you. This type of objection often comes from people that want to be really detached from their investments, and they don't want to deal with the 3 T's, tenants, toilets, and trash. Now, if you're really doing well in your career and you're independently wealthy, then maybe this whole house hacking thing is really not for you. Maybe it's an unnecessary step in your journey towards financial independence. There are other ways for you to add real estate to your portfolio in a really passive way. For example, you could become a passive investor, a passive partner in a real estate syndication. Now that, again, is a topic for another video. I'm planning to go into it later on, but if you'd like to learn more about it right away, be sure to contact me and we can discuss it in more detail. In my experience, having open and frequent communication with my residents is a positive thing. I want to know about a maintenance concern as soon as possible so that I can prevent it from becoming a bigger issue than it needs to be. And by living on site, I'm able to spot issues at the property much quicker than if I only visit the property once in a while or if I'm depending on the tenants to notify me about them. Also, I think it's helpful for the residents of the property to know that the property owner is a real person, not just some faceless company out there just cashing checks. I take pride in providing a high level of customer service and customer satisfaction to my residents because they're my customers, and without them, I'm not in business. In reality, I found that my tenants don't abuse the proximity that I have to them. They're just normal people that want their own space and they go about their own business. Now, this is not an exhaustive list of all the negatives for house hacking, so if you've got more to add to the list, be sure to comment below and we can discuss it further there. Now, you may be asking yourself, are there any positives to house hacking? Why would you even bother? Well, that's a topic for another video. So if you want to see more videos about business, mindset, and investing in multifamily real estate, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And while you're there, go ahead and hit that notification bell so you can get notified when the next video comes out. And remember, your reality is your decision. So let's get out there and make it happen.